Stay tuned for the Splash Live. It's time for the Splash Live from Civic Center TV, featuring stories from and about people like you in the greater West Bloomfield area. Simulcast on cable, 89.3 Lakes FM, social media, and the web. Now live from Green Media Center on Walnut Lake Road, it's the Splash Live.
Live, local, social, it's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. I'm Tyler Keith, joined as always by Kevin McIntosh. Kevin, happy to have you back with us again as we go into another busy day here in the greater West Bloomfield area.
What's going on, Tyler? You already know what I'm about, man. Another day, another opportunity, feeling good. Had time to meditate, get my head together, and just see things positive. Speaking of seeing things positive, looks like you got a haircut.
Just a few of them. Yeah, just a few of them for those watching on CivicCenterTV.com and those listening. Check back later on today to get a visual on that. That's the big breaking news this morning here on the Splash Live. Over at West Bloomfield High School, ABBA fans will rejoice as later on this week, the big show is finally going to get underway. High school theater department performing Mamma Mia for their spring musical play. That will begin on Friday evening at West Bloomfield High School. Thursday evening is the premiere of that. 7 o'clock premiere on Thursday. They'll have another performance on Friday night, followed by 2 shows on Saturday, a matinee at 1 p.m. that will feature American Sign Language interpreters, and another finale on Saturday night, the final show at 7 o'clock p.m. All of those at West Bloomfield High School. Kevin, we recently had the opportunity to send Jake Schaff out to the high school. He went out there to look into this show, get a special preview, and get some stories from people that are performing in perhaps their final musical at West Bloomfield High School. Here's the story.
Some of my fondest memories have been my time in high school theater, and it's always heartwarming to see other students experiencing the same joy. And this weekend, the students at West Bloomfield High School will be premiering their much-anticipated spring musical, Mamma Mia. It's sure to be a magical night for all the students, but for some, it will also serve as a fond farewell.
It's super fun and colorful and bright and happy and joyful. I think what I love most about it is that it also tells a real story. It talks about love in all shapes and forms and heartbreak. It's very stressful. I'm definitely not sleeping, but it is very magical too. That's the word I use with my students every year. I said, this is where the magic starts happening. The costumes, the lights, the set, everything's coming together, and all of a sudden we don't feel like actors anymore. We feel like we are in this world, and this is our place where we belong, and it's our responsibility to tell this story in the most amazing way possible.
Well, my favorite part is the music aspect. The singing's my favorite part, and I got really lucky with my character. I have a couple of really cool songs that I really enjoy to sing. A lot of ways to, continue the story, but also just show, our musicianship and stuff like that. So it is really fun.
I've done fall plays, children's plays, musicals. Musicals are my favorite. And it's kind of just become my family, like my second home. And that doesn't mean there's not, struggle and like hard work, but it always pays off in the end. And this is probably my favorite show yet. So I'm super excited.
I'd imagine there'd also be some emotion with it, as it is your last show.
100%. Yeah, no, it's hard not to jerk a couple tears up there. Even we're just in rehearsal, so I can't imagine what that feeling of a live audience is going to bring. But it's been a pretty surreal experience to have this fun energy some of the time, but as you get into those sort of emotional numbers, you just find everything is making you super nostalgic, but also I'm super excited to show what we've been working on, so it's bittersweet.
These are my best friends, some of my colleagues in this show, and a lot of the leads that I didn't really know before this, but yeah, a lot of really cool people, and hope to keep in contact with them after the show. So.
Surprisingly, it's not as sad as you would think. I guess it's because I feel like we've created such a strong bond that it's not over. They're going to come back and visit. They're going to come back and see shows. When you create this hard work together and this level of performance art, it just lasts forever, and you don't forget the people that you did that with. So I guess I don't really feel sad. I guess I just start looking forward to the next journey in the next year. My favorite moments are when the students who say, I'll never do theater and I'll never get up on that stage, I won't ever do it. And then they take my class and their whole world changes and their whole feeling about themselves changes. That is why I do what I do. And I just think that anybody can get out of their shell and try something new. And I think that the feedback and power and love from an audience changes you. You get to be you with theater, and you get to be weird in theater, and you get to just exist and be silly and be free. And I think that everybody deserves that in their life.
Couldn't agree more. There is so much fun to be had in high school theater. All you got to do is get up and try it. Mamma Mia at West Bloomfield High School will be having performances Thursday through Saturday nights, as well as a Saturday afternoon matinee. Best of luck to all of the performers, and best of luck to the departing seniors and the exciting futures they have ahead of them. For Civic Center TV, I'm Jake Schaff. Break a leg, everybody.
Big thank you to Jake Schaff for that report from West Bloomfield High School. Again, all of those performances will be in the main theater at West Bloomfield High School, including for those that are deaf or hard of hearing and may need a sign language interpreter. The Saturday matinee at 1 o'clock p.m. will have an interpreter there for you to make sure this is accessible to everybody in the community. And as you're seeing on your screen right now on civiccentertv.com, there is a QR code available. If you scan that, you can get ticketing information or send an email to wbhstheaterprograms@gmail.com. You can also visit wbsd.org for more information on the theater program, both this spring for Mamma Mia and for ways you can get your kids involved in the future. Kevin, a lot of fun over there as they get ready for their spring performance, and this really is kind of that last big moment of their senior year for a lot of those performers that Jake had a chance to talk to.
Yeah, I can understand that aspect of it from the performers, it being a very emotional time and a moment in their life in high school. But I was today years old and I found out the Splash Live's very own Jake Schaff was in the theater program in high school too. So that was interesting. But it's also interesting because I'm learning a lot more about this play and things like that. I had no idea about it. I'm from the generation that only heard of Mamma Mia from the Super Mario Brothers. So to kind of learn a little bit more about this actual play and the cultural, background behind it is a little bit interesting. And I'm glad they're passing it on to the high school students.
Yeah, it should be an excellent performance. They're going to have multiple performances throughout the weekend. It begins Thursday night, 7 o'clock premiere at West Bloomfield High School. They'll have shows Friday and Saturday as well. Again, more information on wbsd.org. Also, in the West Bloomfield School District, they're celebrating today, Kevin, because today is National Bus Driver Appreciation Day. And some of the bus drivers in the West Bloomfield School District, transportation officials bringing home the hardware for West Bloomfield School District. Ann Alberin and Amanda DeMar were nominated and selected as the recipients of the 2024 Oakland County Excellence in Transportation Award. And that was selected. They were both nominated and ultimately selected for these awards by their peers in the industry. So again, apropos today is this National Bus Driver Appreciation Day. Make sure parents that you're out and about today picking up your kids from the bus stop, you give their bus drivers a big thank you and appreciation today. Make sure your kids know to give them a thank you as well as we recognize the vital role that they play here in our community, Kevin.
Tyler, let me tell you, as a parent myself, I got to speak from that perspective. You got to give them a lot more praise and appreciation, Tyler. These are the people that are responsible for transporting our children on a very frequent basis to their learning institution. And we can't take that for granted because, they're going through traffic. We're trusting in an entire individual in our students, in our children. So that's something that we shouldn't necessarily just sweep under the bus. I want to applaud the award recipients. They were nominated and chosen amongst their peers, which means a lot also. So, amongst a lot of things we hear about bus drivers and transportation in school, it's just good to kind of get the recognition for the great bus drivers.
Yeah,
great awards.
We'll expand a lot more on transportation throughout today's program. We'll have a whole nother feature on that later on in the program that will kind of dive into the regional transportation here in Oakland County and how that has expanded after a voter referendum over the past year or so. And then plenty more to get to. There's so much happening across our community, Kevin. So live, local, social, it's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. We'll take a quick break and then get into all of those details coming up next.
We'll be right back with the Splash Live. Want to enjoy Civic Center TV on your social media? Follow us on Twitter at Civic Center TV. Get notified when we upload one of our interviews, full episodes, and more. Thank you for watching and listening to Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
One scorching heat wave will leave me powerless to cool my insulin.
When the storm rolls in, my time to find a pet-friendly evacuation center will have run out.
I'm relying on luck, but who knows if it'll be on my side.
When it comes to disasters and emergencies, it's not a matter of if, but when. Take control. 1. Assess your needs. 2. Make a plan. 3. Engage your support network. Let's prepare so we all have a better story to tell.
Live, local, and social. It's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. Join our team as we highlight people and events that are making an impact in the greater West Bloomfield area. Catch us live Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Watch us on demand at civiccentertv.com. Or watch us on TV at Comcast Channel 15 or AT&T at Channel 99. Bringing you stories and memories from Sylvan Lake, Civic Center TV, and 89.3 Lakes FM. And now, back to the Splash, live.
Live, local, social, it's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. I'm Tyler Keefe, joined as always by Kevin McIntosh. And Kevin, with recent news, particularly the sentencing of James and Jennifer Crumbly, the parents of the Oxford High School shooter, a lot has been said about safe gun storage and firearm education in our community. And Michigan recently passing, and now these laws going into effect, some new safe storage laws in our state, perhaps inspired in part by the Oxford High School shooting, the shooting at Michigan State University, and other mass shootings that have happened across our nation. And so we want to bring in our local police chief here in West Bloomfield, Chief Michael Patton from the West Bloomfield Police Department, as we talk about the new laws that are in place, what the people should know about what's required of them now as they store their firearms safely in their homes, and of course some information on education so that you can make sure your family and everyone else in your life is informed about safe gun ownership and of course safe gun storage. Chief, thank you for being with us. If you can, as we start off, just give us some insight into what the new laws in the state of Michigan are regarding safe storage of firearms and what the people here in West Bloomfield and surrounding areas should know.
A lot of people think this law, the genesis of it was the incident here in Oakland County up at Oxford involving the Crumley family, but it actually had been in some development and discussion for some time. And there have been other examples of similar laws in other states that Michigan had been monitoring. Look, these kind of stories are not just the horrific incidents like you saw up there in Oxford, but there are local stories here that have occurred even in West Bloomfield that really don't get the attention that they need. But they still do relate to the proper and safe storage of firearms where, because they weren't properly and safely stored, there was an issue and some tragedy occurred. We had incidents back of students here within the West Bloomfield School District a few years ago, and it's really nothing to do with the school district per se. It's just that they happen to be students, where in each of those incidents, the young person found a firearm in their home that their parent had left unsecured. and they committed suicide. And of course, those are horrific, terrible incidents, not only for the family, but for the schools and really for the community at large. And really, if safe storage laws had been applied and were in effect, that the likelihood of those incidents having happened were probably very minimal.
And Public Act 17, which is what you're talking about, that's really what's at the crux of it, is providing safety for minors and for others that may encounter these firearms and potentially do harm to themselves and or others in our communities. But also what's been a big part of this effort to put this law in place and to enhance gun safety and lock accessibility in our state has been partnerships between the Michigan State Police, Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, and our local law enforcement departments to provide these child safety firearm locks or just general firearm locks to people in our communities. Talk about those resources and how they're available, particularly in our local area through your police department and others in our neighboring communities.
Well, I shared with your office recently, and there was a press release through the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, where via a state grant, they obtained funding to provide child or firearm safety locks at any of the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services offices through what they call Project Child Safe. Well, West Bloomfield Police Department and many other area police departments in Oakland County have long been a participant in Project Child Safe, providing these free gun locks to any one of their residents that can come into the station and pick one up. Part of the new law that went into effect in February of this year was a requirement in Michigan that all firearms are in fact sold with a firearm safety lock included with them. Now, most firearms, if anyone ever bought a firearm new from a licensed dealer, they would already have known that a firearm safety lock was included in that, but now it's incorporated as part of a Michigan law too. The law requires that the firearm, if there's a minor in the home, that it be kept either in a locked box, like a safe or a gun box, and or under a lock, like a key lock or combination lock, or with a slip-through type gun firearm safety lock that you would open up a mechanism, whether it be a revolver or a semi-automatic pistol or rifle or shotgun, insert the cable lock through, and then to keep the key secured away from any minor children within the home. The law also requires that if you're outside the home or visiting someone where it's reasonable to think that there's children in the home, that you take those same firearm protections when you're visiting someone in the home, and if not, keep it secured in compliance with the law inside your vehicle. Also keeping it in a locked box or keeping your car doors locked.
And in terms of the local community, when someone comes into the police headquarters at Town Hall and they're looking to access some of the free gun locks that have been made available through our West Bloomfield Police Department, what sort of education is provided to them at that time, or resources educationally are provided to those in our community when they're picking up those critical resources?
Well, I think it's important. I think most people that probably come up with the idea that it's time to come into the police department to pick up a gun lock or already ahead of the information curve. We have informational brochures that we can provide them. Part of the new law also is when a firearm is sold, that informational materials are also provided to the buyer of the firearm about proper and safe ways to store their firearms. So we always appreciate people. Sometimes it's a reminder. You see us at public events and we'll be handing out gun locks and things like that, just as a reminder to homeowners and parents and other responsible people that own firearms that they really have a significant responsibility, in particular, not just related to having minor children in the home, but particularly keeping firearms as secured as possible in their residences and in their cars. It's not uncommon here in West Bloomfield or other communities. You'll see in the news somewhere that a firearm is stolen out of a car. And again, sometimes people think it's really safe. They leave it in their car driveway, or if they take it to the car wash or something like that. And all that does is increase the likelihood that a firearm now is going to be possessed by somebody that should not, in a particular minor that you're really not a responsible person to ship a firearm.
And are there any exceptions in the case of this particular law in terms of firearm storage that may come into play? Are there individuals, are there groups or organizations that may be brandishing firearms at any point that may not have to follow along in compliance with some of these laws?
Well, the legislature did carve out, I think, some reasonable exceptions of what most people would expect. I mean, there are obviously, if you're with your responsible adult or your parent and you're engaged in firearms training and target shooting, you obviously can possess a firearm. If you're on, licensed hunting, adventure, you can certainly have a firearm there. But those are always under control, measured, responsible times which a minor person under 18 years of age should have access to a firearm. And again, I think most responsible parents or other adults would approve of those exceptions.
And as we bounce back to the beginning of our discussion, when I brought up the Oxford High School shooting and the trial of the Crumbly parents and ultimately the verdict of that, really centering around the negligence surrounding their safe storage of their firearm in this case. And as we approach that, as we look at that story and we think about it in the aftermath, what advice would you give to the community, particularly to parents, as they're discussing firearms and they're discussing firearm safety in particular with their kids as they're developing and maybe perhaps learning to be responsible gun owners in the future themselves?
Well, again, looking back at some of the facts and circumstances over those suicides that I mentioned earlier within the township or the school district, that the kids were students. Look, there's always the parents always believe that their children are very responsible and it's safe to leave a firearm. I mean, or they've taken them out and the firearm and their kids were okay with firearms, or that they really had it hidden very well inside the home. Now, Tyler, if you go back and when you were a child, you probably knew where your parents had most things in the home. So to think that your child is not going to find something is probably not a very reasonable point of view to have. And it's also very important. I think you look at these tragedies, whether it be a suicide or someone doing something horribly wrong, like a homicide, that really, if safe storage had been applied, that they really would have been minimized, if not eliminated altogether. And a lot of these tragedies would be prevented. And that's really what the hope of this law is, that many of these tragedies are to be prevented as much as possible.
Well, Chief, we thank you for joining us to tell us about these new laws that are in place. It's very important that firearm owners in our communities understand their responsibilities as owners of these weapons. They are dangerous. Maybe they are being used for recreational purposes, but when they're not in use, they need to be stored away. They need to be out of reach of people that should not have access to them. And Kevin, that's really what these laws are getting at, is making sure that firearm owners not only understand the responsibility, but they understand it is a requirement that they take the steps necessary to secure their weapons.
It's great to see the effort going towards that, the laws that are being enacted within the state of Michigan to help prevent and be proactive to any accidents that could happen with minors within the home. And he brought up some very, very great points in regards to minors in the home knowing a lot more about what's going on in the home or what's behind the scenes than parents may even take credit for or think they know of. So he brought up some solid points right there that we all should be keeping in consideration.
Absolutely. And if you have more information on these safe storage laws, or if you are looking for more information on these safe storage laws, you're looking for some tips and information, or even you want to obtain some of these free gun locks that are available and get information on how you can pick them up, you can call the non-emergency phone number for the West Bloomfield Police Department, 248-975-9200. Again, that is the non-emergency number, 248-975-9200. Or visit their Facebook page at West Bloomfield PD for even more information. Kevin, transitioning from a more serious topic to some fun happening in the prettiest little city in the state of Michigan. This weekend at the Sylvan Lake Community Center, people from across Sylvan Lake and neighboring areas have a chance to get together and do some spring cleaning, but maybe even bring home some treasures that perhaps other people no longer need in their homes.
My favorite thing to say, purge, purge, purge. Purge is the word. And that's essentially what we are doing, getting rid of the old and bringing in the new. It's the Sylvan Summer Swap and Sale, an annual event for swapping, selling, and donating items. And joining the Splash Live to tell us more about that in detail, providing what you need, one of the managing members of the Sylvan Summer Swap and Sale, Misty Markham. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me to talk about it. I love it.
Yes, Misty. So this is a very interesting event. It seems like it's self-explanatory within the title, but can you just tell us a little bit more about the event, the inspiration behind organizing this event?
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of times when people think with the summer and especially the lake that it has to be a boat, a kayak, or even a paddleboard, and it's just not true. We use so many other things throughout the summer, and it could be anywhere from camping to picnicking, entertaining your friends in the backyard. Maybe it's a picnic set or some other like lightly used dishware. Well, you will use the word lightly used just so that you
Right,
give
right.
the chance for the next user to be able to appreciate it. But yeah, it really is, someone else's junk might be your treasure, and it's fun for all ages. And so it's a great way to kick off summer. We're, in spring heading into the summer months, and what a great time when everyone is decluttering, and maybe you don't have enough for your garage sale, but you have something for this. You don't have to have a lot of items. It could be just one.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's a good point too. Yeah, see, because you might only have a few things. You say this isn't enough for me to do a garage sale, and maybe I don't want a lot of people at my home. So
Sure.
I'll just take it to a place like the Sylvan Summer Swap and Sale, which is a great event. And I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't even thinking about like boats and things of that nature. I was thinking like maybe a lamp or a old bike. Is that what are those some of the items that you've seen, like boats and things like that?
Well,
Wow.
yes, like
Okay.
a pedal boat or a canoe, kayaks, but but lamps, like that could be like an interesting thought about like this is a summer thing. So it's like
Yeah.
anything that you would use in the summertime, right? And
Right, right.
the bicycles definitely, that's another big one. And actually, we will
Mhm.
have another Sylvan resident that works and tune-ups bikes on site all day. So he'll have some stuff. You may even want to bring your
Hey.
own bike
Oh.
and get a tune-up.
Yeah, I know, right? Who thinks of tuning up their bike that often? You tune up the car, but not the bike too often. So I wanna ask this too. That just brought up a great point, Misty. How do you feel like this contributes to community engagement? You already said you got a person that works on bikes. They're coming different. I would assume other kind of not necessarily vendors, but other people will be involved who have specialties. Can you just talk about the community engagement with this event?
Absolutely. What's great is, with something like this, it is at the end of winter, right, in spring, where a lot of people have been hibernating or traveling throughout the winter, and it's a
Mhm.
great time for everyone to get together. We will have also a mini donut truck, so if you come get a little breakfast item and
See.
get to talk, to your
Oh,
neighbors, maybe meet a new one that just moved in. We will have a donation table if there's anything that just be donated. Maybe like little kids coming through that's their next treasure. The
mhm.
other item is if you want to man your own table. Maybe you have a lot of little items, and you just want to stay and hang out, and and talk to other neighbors that it breeze through. So that's the other great part is becoming a social aspect as well.
Nice, nice. Joining us right now on the Splash Live, we have Misty Markham, managing member of the Sylvan Summer Swap and Sale event that'll be coming up very, very soon. This month, actually, April 28th at the
This
Sylvan
Sunday.
Lake Community Center. Correct. Wow, that is this Sunday. Time
Yes.
is just floating by. And
If
it's
you
from
have items 8 o'clock to 10 to drop off, maybe bring
yes,
some
please.
tags of your own. We will have some extra. We also take your name and number. If there is something that's going to happen with a swap, we want to give you a call if you're not around and say, someone's here looking at your items and they have questions maybe, or they want to swap back and forth. So there is that too. You don't have to stay with your stuff. You could just fill out your form and then we have your contact info. And that's how we take care of you. I've got a few volunteers too from within the city that are helping out. So all good, all overall. And then 11 a.m. to 4 is the actual event. And then we'll have the donut truck from 10 to noon, I believe.
Ooh, donuts. Every time you say it, I'm getting excited. I feel like Homer Simpson right now. Okay, last thing. I gotta ask you about this. The growth and the future. The growth in the future. How has it grown over the last few years? And what are your plans? And what do you envision it going in the future?
Good questions, actually. The So the growth is, each year has become a little bit more. I guess, like last year I started to get calls like months prior, for the event. And same for this one as well. We hope for next year to be, a little bit more event wise with actual outlines of things that could be happening throughout the day. And then maybe some more growth as far as getting other people involved. Who knows? It could be a boater safety class. I mean, there's room for opportunity, I think, in the early season like this to do some other things as well.
That's why we put it out there like this. Misty, is manifestation. We're going to manifest that. So we're going to spread the word. We're going to share this post, and anybody in the community that can contribute those type of skills to make this event grow, please do. Once again, Misty Markham, managing member for the Sylvan Summer Swap and Sale event going on this Sunday, April 28th at the Sylvan Lake Community Center. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. As always, we appreciate her joining the show. And if you want more information about what's going on in the prettiest little city in the state of Michigan, go to the website sylvanlake.org for all the details right there, Tyler. It's great information to pass on to the community. Hopefully we can get the word out. Someone else can jump on that and they can provide some skills and some services also.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for you to be able to exchange some items with people in your community, talk about ways that you can maybe reuse these items. And look, it helps people gain some new fun things to bring into their life during the spring season and some different ways to explore some new fun and recreation. It also prevents a lot of this stuff from ending up in a landfill by being exchanged either with somebody else or bought by someone else in your community that you know is going to put these items to good use, or being donated to people that may be in need of some of these items and be able to enjoy some time outdoors and some time here in the beautiful weather we're going to have throughout the spring and the summer. So a great opportunity there in the prettiest little city in Michigan, Kevin.
Absolutely. I completely agree. You brought up a great point about it potentially being in landfills and things of that nature. That's something that we definitely don't want to happen. So Misty brought up a great point. Someone's trash can be someone else's treasure. I was just recently going through my basement, clearing things out. If I haven't been looking for this for weeks, months, if I haven't even noticed it's been gone, it's going in the trash if I can dispose of it like that. Other than that, it's great to give it away, sell it, or whatever the case may be.
The Sylvan Summer Swamp and Sale will be happening over this weekend. It'll be on Sunday, April 28th at the Sylvan Lake Community Center. Donation drop-off, 8 a.m. until 10 a.m. Swapping and selling is from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. And hey, if you want to get a good bite to eat, stop in kind of in between those windows, 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Detroit Mini Donut will be on site as well. All of that at the Sylvan Lake Community Center, Kevin. If people want to learn more information about everything happening in the prettiest little city in the state of Michigan, find some other events in Sylvan Lake, sylvanlake.org. Live, local, social, it's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. Plenty of more important information to get to. We'll take a short break and come back with more. Stay with us.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live. Bringing you stories and memories from West Bloomfield. Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
I don't know why you're so sad. You've got a roof over your head.
You gotta stop with that depression stuff.
That's what white people think.
You alright?
It just feels like it's coming from everywhere.
Do you want to talk about it?
You can talk to me if you're feeling sad.
Whenever you need to talk, I'm here, okay?
1 in 4 Michigan homes has high levels of radon, a naturally occurring radioactive gas known to cause lung cancer. It doesn't matter where you live or what type of home you have. You won't even know it's there unless you test. So don't wait. Testing is cheap and easy. And if there's a problem, it's simple to fix. Visit michigan.gov/radon to learn more.
We took action. Will you?
Missed one of our live broadcasts or one of your local municipal meetings? Check it out online at civiccentertv.com. Every meeting, show, and interview on demand. Thank you for watching and listening to Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. And now, back to The Splash, live.
Live, local, social, it's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM alongside Kevin McIntosh. I'm Tyler Kieft. And Kevin, we were planning on having a little bit more information today talking about transportation here in Oakland County. Had a late cancellation due to extenuating to outside circumstances out of really everybody's control. So we got to transition a little bit from an important topic like transportation to another important topic that also really does connect back to safety in our community. There's been a lot of discussion lately, including here in Oakland County and in West Bloomfield Township in Greater West Bloomfield, about the ongoing fentanyl crisis. Fentanyl continuing to populate our local areas all across Metro Detroit and around the United States. It's a growing problem, and so both locally here in Greater West Bloomfield and county-wide in Oakland County, experts have been taking a frontline grassroots approach to make sure that residents of our communities are informed on the dangers of fentanyl, what to look out for, the conversations to have with their friends, their family, and their colleagues to make sure that we're keeping our community safe and informed on the facts about this crisis. I had a chance to go out to the Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital partnered event with Greater West Bloomfield's Community Coalition, which held a special panel all about the fentanyl crisis with experts from Henry Ford Health System, from the West Bloomfield Police Department, from the Alliance of Coalitions for Healthy Communities to give an extensive amount of information on this crisis. I had a chance to speak with Dr. Jason Veeder, who is the vice chairperson of the emergency medicine at Henry Ford Health across their system, and he provided some insight on just why fentanyl is so lethal, the primary concerns about this crisis for medical professionals when it comes to overdoses, as well as how those that misuse or overdose on fentanyl are treated. Here's what he had to say.
As you know, we've had an opiate crisis for quite a while now. At least people are becoming more and more aware of that. But most often when we have a problem is someone has an unintentional overdose. So someone is using opiates recreationally and then they run into a problem, and that's what we see in the emergency room when people get into trouble using opiates.
What should people know about just how dangerous drugs like fentanyl and other opiates can really be?
Yeah, so, obviously folks that use opiates chronically have different types of problems. What we see in the emergency room is when someone overdoses, then they stop breathing. So that's what an opiate does to you. It depresses your respiratory drive. So when people come in, they've actually arrested and died, and the reversal agent we give them knocks the opiates out of their receptors and allows them to start breathing again. So when you talk about the severity of the problem, when someone overdoses, they really actually can have sudden death. And that's really the core of the problem and why we're fighting it so hard. Narcan, if you give it to someone, it does reverse the effect of opiates, but it doesn't have a bad effect if they haven't used opiates. So there's really no harm in giving Narcan. There are some mild exceptions. I shouldn't say mild stuff. There are exceptions. You'd rather not give it to someone who's pregnant or breastfeeding, but if someone has arrested, you have to worry about just, of course, helping them immediately. So having Narcan around, being able to spot the signs of an opiate overdose, which is generally someone who is kind of stuporous, maybe they have pinpoint pupils, they have blue lips or pale skin, and of course, if shallow breathing or a low heart rate.
Any other advice from the medical standpoint that people should be keeping in mind as they consider this issue and as they learn more about fentanyl and the opioid crisis?
Fentanyl is 50 times more powerful than heroin and 100 times more powerful than morphine. And that's why it's such a crisis, it's such a problem, is that it's so potent, it's cheap, it's easy to mix with other drugs, so people don't know when they're getting it. And when they don't know that they're getting it and it's so powerful, that's when they run into big problems.
And that's what's making this such a growing concern, not just for those in our medical community, but also our first responders, including our local police in West Bloomfield Township. I also had a chance to speak with Police Chief Michael Patton from the West Bloomfield Police Department about this issue and how his department is addressing it, not only from a law enforcement perspective and keeping the criminals that are spreading these drugs through our communities and beyond off of our streets, but also how to help people that ultimately are affected by this. He told me more about our local police department's approach to addressing the threats of fentanyl and drug misuse in our community.
Well, I think what you're seeing about the West Bloomfield Police Department's approach is what you're seeing here tonight. An alliance of coalition members and community members, both Henry Ford Hospital, Henry Ford Maple Grove Facility, the West Bloomfield Greater West Bloomfield Community Coalition, the alliance of coalitions in Oakland County here, and other partners that are here to talk about the ongoing and perhaps even increasing risk and threats of fentanyl in our community. Look, substance abuse is a difficult issue. The police are often looking at law enforcement of laws and violations of laws, but that's really not always the best way because we're never going to arrest our way out of substance abuse issues. We know that the best outcomes are made when we have partnerships like we're talking about tonight to address the issue. So broad spectrum, wide community involvement. This is an educational component tonight to make sure people are aware of what the options are, what services are available here in West Bloomfield and in Oakland County. So I think that's really the best way to approach this. Well, look, law enforcement is already well embedded with both all of our local, county, state, federal partners, and to address law enforcement, the specific law enforcement avenues. But really, it's the broader community partnerships that I think will probably evidence the best outcomes overall. I think we're all doing all the same thing. There's no zip code here in Oakland County that's immune from these issues. We'll talk about some of the numbers that we've experienced here in West Bloomfield. And it's really, I mentioned this before, you've heard me say this before, Tyler, up until the COVID pandemic hit, next to just general old age and dying, the deaths attributed to heroin and fentanyl overdoses and deaths are the second leading cause of death next to old age here in West Bloomfield, and that's pretty significant.
How do you then approach that in terms of training and an intervention when those moments do come where you encounter someone that has overdosed or may be clearly suffering from a substance use issue?
Well, look, overdoses, they ebbs and flows in overdoses. Thankfully, we can report in West Bloomfield the number of deaths have been somewhat reduced, and I think it is because of the proliferation of training, how to use Narcan, getting that out broader in the community. Through our alliance and coalitions here in West Bloomfield, we have distribution boxes of Narcan kits, and we encourage people, even if they don't have a person in the home with substance abuse, that really should be part of their maybe home or business first aid kits, because you just never know when someone's going to collapse. And just like you would do learning how to use CPR or a defibrillator in a heart incident, that perhaps consider learning how to use Narcan and use that, because you never know when someone's going to collapse, and then you too can be a lifesaver.
And that's what was a really important point, not only made by Chief Patton, but by Dr. Veeder, by the Alliance of Coalitions for Healthy Communities, Steve Norris, and by everybody that was on that expert panel at that event at Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital. Something as simple as one box of Narcan, just having it on your person, having some nasal Narcan in your purse or in your car, even as much as we get into the warmer times of the year. Dr. Veeder did say that while the Narcan will heat up, it will still be effective. It may do some burning of the nostrils when you do administer it to someone that may be having an overdose, but that's a pretty minor side effect that will ultimately come of using Narcan on someone that may be experiencing an overdose. And these are readily available in our community at the Alliance of Coalitions for Healthy Communities Save a Life stations that are all throughout the greater West Bloomfield area, including at West Bloomfield Town Hall, both branches of the West Bloomfield Township Public Library at West Bloomfield Parks, and various locations even outside of our four communities, achcmi.org for more information on that, or go visit the Greater West Bloomfield Community Coalition's website, and they'll also be able to point you in the right direction for where these Save a Life stations are. They include nasal Narcan, they include many other resources, including Save a Life bags that have additional information and other devices and whatnot in it that could be helpful in addressing this issue on the community level. Finally, in the case of repeat drug misuse, treatment options are available in Greater West Bloomfield as well. We've had a chance to talk with Lisa Kaplan from the Henry Ford Maple Grove Center about the addictive nature of drugs, treatment options, and incorporating the community into education and the recovery efforts for those that experience drug misuse or drug incidents in our community. Here's what she had to say.
Any drug can be addictive. So whether it's fentanyl, alcohol, cocaine, whatever it is, we treat adults ages 18 and up on an inpatient and outpatient basis for whatever substance use disorder they have. So inpatient includes detoxification and residential treatment, and outpatient is intensive outpatient program or individual one-on-one with a therapist.
And a lot of people have this misconception that addiction is a habit that is formed and is a choice that is made by the individuals that suffer from it. But as you mentioned, it's substance misuse that can often lead to substance abuse issues. So how does an organization like yours get to the root of those problems when you see patients come in for opioid addiction or other substance use issues?
Yeah. So a lot of it is education and educating the family as well. This is not a choice. This is a disease. Nobody would choose to have this problem. So because it's a disease, people need medical treatment. And Henry Ford Maple Grove Center is a medical facility. We have doctors and nurses and therapists who help people. So whatever the drug of choice is really doesn't matter. They need education, they need support, they need treatment. And family members do as well because they don't understand it as a disease. As you said, they believe it's a choice, someone making a bad choice. And it goes so far beyond that. We also run on Thursday nights virtually a family education and support group for our Maple Grove families and any family in the community who needs education and support. So ideally, the ideal setup is both the patient and the family get help. It doesn't always work out that way, but that would be ideal.
And then lastly, education opportunities like this, how can they help prepare people for the unfortunate but real possibility that they themselves or somebody in their lives may at some point face a substance use issue?
It is so prevalent that people who are just experimenting or just, buying some other drug off the street may very well be ingesting fentanyl and not even know it, and it can kill them. So the education is so important for the community, for our current patients, for anybody. This is something that could happen to anyone.
And your education on this issue can continue with help of many local organizations, including the Greater West Bloomfield Community Coalition, Henry Ford Health, and the Alliance of Coalitions for Healthy Communities. ACHCMI.org is the Alliance's website, and the Greater West Bloomfield Community Coalition can be found on gwbcoalition.org, and they can get you in contact with many other resources for more information and for services, including those Save a Life stations that include Narcan here in our community, gwbcoalition.org. And Kevin, this all comes down to a matter of public health, keeping our community informed on ways that they can keep themselves and others safe in the event of emergencies. And as we transition from talking about public health, we can talk more about general health. And a lot of that comes down to learning some new methods to incorporate healthy options into your life, including what we're putting on the dinner table, in your lunch pail for work, or giving your kids to take to school. And here in our local school district in West Bloomfield, some really interesting stuff happening to teach that health education to our youngsters.
Applaud to Tyler Keefe for his transition right there. Great transition right there, Tyler. Yes, we are talking about general health when it comes to the food that we consume. And we do have a local teacher that is teaching her young class early when it comes to different types of gardening, and specifically hydroponic gardening. I'm hoping I'm saying that right, but joining us to correct me and teach all of us right now, second grade teacher from Gretchko Elementary is Miss Marianne Ayar. Did I say that correct? Thank you for joining us.
Yes, you did. Good morning. Yes, you did.
I'm already happy. Okay, cool.
There you go.
Thank you. So I'm already interested. I'm interested in gardening in general, but now we're talking about hydroponic gardening. let's start there. What is hydroponic gardening? How's that different from regular gardening?
Well, we have the opportunity here at Gretschko to show our students the process from seed to stem. So the whole process inside, that we can grow something year round inside, and we mimic what happens outside. And we basically show them that these are the herbs or the flavors that they've tasted. And for me, I have the opportunity to take two things that I love, cooking and teaching, and incorporate them and show them that they have healthy habits that they can do, that they can replace things, that they can try things. For example, I created a salad. And I showed them there's over 100 different varieties of lettuce, because most kids think that there's just one kind of lettuce, and then they usually say, no, thank you. And so I teach them that green is good. So that's my magic word. I say green is good, and they repeat green is good. And I'm like, green is good for you and me. And they say green is good for you and me. So they understand that. So I show them the different lettuces that we've grown there, spinach, kale, all those leaves. I put them in there. So I had the opportunity to not only teach my class, but kindergarten, first and second grade at Gretschko. So we took a whole day and a half of learning, and each teacher cycled through with their students. They had an opportunity to explore, communicate, collaborate. I had to do a see, think, wonder. So for example, I took a mint leaf and I said, what do you see? And then, okay, we talked first, I take that back. We talked about the process. So in kindergarten, they learn how plants grow. So we talked about seed and roots and stems and leaves. And I'm like, okay, now what's this leaf? What do you think it is? And I passed it around, and they got to touch it and smell it. And I showed them that I could eat it. They're like, you ate the leaf? Oh my God.
What?
So that was basil and mint. So I told them that this mint is in your toothpaste, in your mouthwash, in your gum. What do you think it is? And then I had them turn and talk to a friend. So then I used that mint as a flavor for the salad. So I showed them that I dry the mint. And when I dry the mint, it's like the basil. I said, if you like pizza or spaghetti sauce, that's what this is. So then I made a healthy pesto. I used basil and olive oil and garlic, and I passed out the garlic. Now I used no cheese and no nuts because of dairy and food allergies. I talked about that. Right. Kids have food allergies. And I talked about how you can eat that. And I showed them that they could dip it in fresh baked sourdough bread. Talked about how sourdough bread was 3 ingredients, was really healthy bread for you. So we've done so much. We've done smoothies. I've showed in the past, we've had the hydroponic garden for over 10 years. So I couldn't do this all alone.
Wow.
I had the support of my amazing principal, Jen Teal, who supported me, and our PTO. We have a great para in the building, Kelly Jacobson, who maintains all the water and the chemicals in there, because there is an art and science to that. But I have incorporated, for the second graders, we talk about producers and consumers, that farmers produce the food. Most kids think that food comes from Kroger or Costco or Myers or Walmart. That's true. And I'm like, no, you can grow a garden in your backyard, and that's what you could do. And then we have even smaller gardens in second grade that we do, and we grow grass, so that it's easier to say it that way. We grow little grass because it's fast growing and they can see the process. But I have a lot to say about this. I'm very passionate about it. We've been doing it for 10 years.
I see, yeah.
It's so fun. The kids, I'm like a rock star. I walk down the hall and they're like, Mrs. Ayer, I love your cooking. It's better than school lunch. No disrespect to our school lunch, but they're eating, this week they tried radishes. I showed her radishes. They thought it was they thought it was a potato. Then I had them taste it. I sliced it really thin, and they taste it. And they're like, wow, this is so good. So it was just, I get so excited about it. They get so excited about it. I have parents that reach out to me that ask me, or text or email, that said, what did you put in the salad dressing? I made salad dressing with them. I took fresh lemon, olive oil, salt and pepper, please. And then I added mint. And then parents have said to me, my kid wants me to go to Kroger today to buy the ingredients to make this salad. How do I make it? Because I hold up the Italian dressing and I'm like, Mario Sudame Globi. But I said, you can't pronounce those words. Why would you eat those? I said, you can use fresh lemon, olive oil, salt,
Mm.
pepper, mint, and you have your dressing. So
Okay.
I'm American of Chaldean descent. We eat a very Mediterranean diet. So basically kind of teaching them to eat fresh. And I love garden to table. And it's just I love it. I love how excited they get. I love that at first they're like, I'm not going to eat that. It's green.
I know, right?
And then I made a smoothie with the spinach from the garden. And I used honey as opposed to sugar and told them that when you go to this other place, they put 3 heaping teaspoons of sugar in it. I don't. I sweeten it with honey and they loved it. And how important honey is to our bees. And I mean, how important bees are to our environment. And don't be afraid of them on the playground. They have a job. So that's how I feel about it.
Oh, Miss AR, you did fantastic. You gave us a mouthful, so many things I can go back and speak on. The fact that you ate a mint leaf and a basil leaf right in front of them, I know they probably like, what are you doing? Like that's for animals. But then you are teaching them, and I'm so happy you're teaching them early about this type of stuff, because they're still in the process of learning, experimenting with food and taste buds, so they can learn that this is what I want to eat, like, consistently. I don't want to eat sugar. That's bad. Miss AR told us about that. Like, we don't want that. So I love everything that you're doing with this. There's so many, we can dive deeper into this, but just join us right now. 2nd grade teacher at Gretschko Elementary, Miss Marianne AR, join us talking about her 2nd grade class, and actually K through 2nd grade students learning about hydroponic gardening in her class right now. So what strategies are you using to possibly encourage them to take some of these skills outside of the classroom?
So I tell them that they need to eat the rainbow. Most kids' plates are one color. So there's a rainbow in our makerspace, as you noticed. And so I tell them that they have to eat the rainbow, and their plate should look like a rainbow. And we talk about how they need to eat 5 fruits and vegetables each day. So I teach them to show me 5 fruits and vegetables each day. So then I give them a high 5. All right, you need to eat 5. And so I'm like, okay, how can you eat 5 a day? So we talk about how a smoothie has more than 1 fruit, how a salad is that. I teach them that, when you have a healthy body, you have a healthy mind. That if you want to look good and feel good, you have to eat good. So you have to, you have to exercise. We go out for recess. I said, okay, so you exercise, you have to go to sleep. That's important. So we talk about all those different things. We also do a lot here at Gretschko with capturing kids' hearts. We talk about ruler and how you feel. We talk about green is good and green is a feeling on the ruler chart. And we talk about how when we eat green, we feel green. Do you know what I mean? So lots of different ways. And then basically we tie it a lot into our social studies and sciences. We talk about how to plant, we incorporate it in writing. So all my salad dressing had 4 ingredients. First you do this, first you squeeze the lemon. Next you add the oil. Then you add the salt and pepper, and last you add the mint. So they can take that and use it when they're writing and write the recipe. So we talk about consumers and producers and how you produce the food and you consume the food and how you're paying for something.
Right.
So why don't you, if you're paying for something, you can make it yourself. Do you know what I mean? Like you can make a salad, and I'm not, it's very easy to do, and you can help out at home. So we talk about how to be, caring and kind and helpful at home and how you can do those things. So how can you help your mom? You can help her in the kitchen. You can get the groceries. You can write the grocery list. So there's so much learning that happens throughout K-1-2 in the classroom, in place-based learning, which is the makerspace. So we have place-based learning. So we're learning in different places. 2nd grade takes a trip to Apple Island. We have that opportunity for learning. So we do so much to just kind of create, educate the whole child. So we want to teach them that this is you, you're in charge of you make your choices. What choices do you want to make? Advocate for yourself. Say, hey, I'd like to make this. And literally immediately when they go back, I hear from lots of different teachers, their kids have told their parents, can we make a salad? I want to try this salad. In the years past, I've had parents come to me. I made mushrooms one year. And to this day, I have parents come up to me and say, my kid still loves those mushrooms. And I cooked them with garlic and olive oil and salt and pepper. And they ate mushrooms. So I love it. It's so great. I get to take two things I love and incorporate them and share that love of learning and teaching and cooking with little kids, because, most kids, and I teach them, don't say yuck to somebody else's yum. Try it. You might like it. And they mimic it back. I go, what do I say? Try it. You might like it. And then I say, when you listen, you learn by doing. So go home and do this. And, you can go teach your mom how you did this. So
absolutely. You gave a lot of great words, a lot of great knowledge. I can go back. The difference between producer, consumer, and encouraging them just to eat well and just great spirits, the mental aspect of it, the science, the art. You landed on so many great places. Thank you so much for your time. Any last parting words before we get away?
I'm just going to say, if I love my school district, they support me beyond words. I have learned so much here, and I have the opportunity to share that learning with with little people. And I don't know, I just think that as we create our students to be the best in and for the world, it starts at elementary, and I'm passionate about elementary. And without the support of our administration and my principal, I wouldn't have the opportunity to do this. And thanks to our PTO for helping and support our hydroponic garden, because without them, we couldn't do this. And I appreciate their support and sharing my love again of teaching and cooking together, and sharing that with little people is what makes my heart happy.
Absolutely. And we can see that just in your speech. Thank you again. Second grade teacher from Gretschko Elementary in West Bloomfield School District, Miss Marianne A.R. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. You're welcome to join. Come visit anytime. You can come visit our garden anytime.
Oh, yeah. I'll make that a plan. Great discussion, Tyler, to talk to a local passionate teacher in our community.
Out there. Really interesting stuff they're doing out at Gretschko Elementary School. Such a cool story. Glad we had a chance to talk to Mrs. AR today about that great effort. Hopefully we'll hear so much more from their students coming up as they go throughout the years, and they take that knowledge and apply it into their everyday life. Plenty more of things that you can learn here on the Splash Live all throughout the week. Live, local, social. It's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. That's our bell at the end of the day. We got to get going. We'll be back all throughout the week. In the meantime, CivicCenterTV.com. For our entire team, Calvin Brown, Jake Schaff, Kevin McIntosh, I'm Tyler Keeft. Thanks for tuning in to the Splash Live.